All right, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is Brooke Silva, Regional Technology Trainer for Keller Williams, New England. And I have a scratchy voice because I did family reunion correctly. So when you do family reunion correctly, you should come home emotionally exhausted, excited. Your body should hurt. You should have walked about 31 miles. I think my Apple Watch told me I walked this week. Um, and your brain should hurt. It should be starting to leak out of your body. Your body, everything should be just worn out. So we have some all-star panelists, people who were at family reunion with us, and we're going to talk and dig into some of our really big ahas and giant takeaways from family reunion. I know I have some of my big ahas. I have about 47 remarkable pages of just brain dumps. Like, I gotta make sense of it. It's a little crazy, but guys, dig in. What are some of your ahas or huge takeaways? And then we'll get going in some questions. Jack, you're on mute. There you go.
There we go. One of my biggest just takeaways is just the magnitude of the weekend and where we're going as a company, where we're going as partners. I'm very excited about a lot of the resources and tools that we're building out and going head on with. I really appreciate just the energy in the room, right? We've been digital for so long and we finally got that energy bottled up in the room. So that was very monumental.
Yeah, felt good to people. Jack, why don't you introduce yourself real quick as we take these ahas, guys, so the region knows who you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jack Crutchfield Jr. I am the Regional Technology Director for the Maryland, D.C. region of Keller Williams. And quick story, I started off as temp from the front desk, then said yes to tech, became the Market Center Tech Trainer, and now I am the Regional Tech Trainer of the Maryland, D.C. region. And I'm honored to be on this panel with these superstars.
I love it. I got to see a lot of Jack and a lot of these panelists this week too. So, um, one of the things that really I wrote on the top of every page is lead gen is the same, but it's different. Like that, I kept like, so I'm wearing my shirt today that yes, the MREA is still relevant.
Yeah.
Listen, this is a legal KW shirt. I am not going to get in trouble for this. This was at the Red store. This is not Brooke going rogue with her mouth that we know I have, right? But my biggest thing was more than ever is the MREA still relevant. What do you guys think?
I completely agree. And when we're agenting, if that's a word, if we're being an agent and we're doing the things that an agent's going to do every single day and we leverage command to do it, that's when we find not only huge success in our business, but in our personal life because we have so much more time left.
Yeah. Yeah. How many of you, if you were there live, who went to the panel on Take 6 Hours Back a Week with Command? Somebody you know was running.
I know she was really good.
Huge time. Huge time. It's that it's the leverage you need when you're thinking about hiring an admin. When you say, I think it's time, your first thing should let's dig in with my MCTT, my leadership and RTT to see if I'm using the tools correctly to gain some hours back. Because we may be able to find you 6 months before you do have to make that hire. And what are you going to give the hire to do if you're not using your own systems and tools and can explain it in a way that somebody can just take the reins and run with it?
Brooke, what was that training? I must have missed that. That sounds like it was amazing.
So it was, don't worry, we're bringing it to you in the region. It was take 6 hours back a week with Command, and we dug into the top ways you can use Command to leverage your time just a little differently. So if you missed it, I'm not sure about the recordings. George just asked. The 2 tech classes, all the recordings should be up within the next 2 weeks. I know they moved us some rooms and different things, so I think they're just trying to organize those. So those should be available. But if not, never fear. Everything that all these people in the rooms taught are bringing them to you anyway.
And just know the reason it's going to take, they have to edit them, but also a lot of the KWRI staff didn't get home yet because of, I believe there were flight delays and ice storms and something happened.
yeah, there's ice storms in Dallas, so a lot of the airports just canceled all the flights. All the flights. Sarah, introduce yourself.
I'm Sarah Herda, formerly of the New England region, and I am the regional technology trainer for Michigan, Northern Ohio region, and I currently live in Savannah, Georgia.
She left us. Clark.
Good afternoon, gang. Clark Kendall, RTT of the Greater Heartland region.
Clark is also maps.
It's true.
So you have this such a unique opportunity at Family Reunion from not only the tech side, but from the coaching side. So what is the things about lead gen you're going to bring back to the people you coach through maps?
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. The thing that stood out, what we already mentioned, it's such an encouraging time, the feel that energy being back in person, and also understanding all the tools that Keller Williams has given us, new partnerships that have been introduced. And I know during the vision speech, you talked about that great convergence, right? That there's all these real estate companies that are looking to get in between us and the relationships in a way we know we can best serve our clients. And Keller Williams has obviously been taking a stand for a long time to give us more tools and resources to provide that same value that these tech companies are, whether it's mortgage, whether it's home insurance, whether it's title and escrow, right? We're all having conversations and leadership to deliver more value to the agent, to give tools and resources. The challenge, I think, for a lot of us, and what I'm bringing back to my clients is, well, what makes sense to increase your value proposition now or through the rest of 2022? Are you aware of what tools and resources that are available to you? And they probably are, at least some level, because we receive so much. I think the challenge is knowing the best first steps of what makes sense for each and every one of our businesses, and to begin to implement those tools and resources as a drip, not all in one fell swoop, right? What do you think your database, your potential clients, your pipeline needs, throughout 2022? So developing a plan around that in this conversation, and to clear all the good stuff we've gotten, it can be overwhelming. So to simplify that as much as possible.
It is. It's like drinking from a fire hose when you're at KW. Yep. It really is. There is something every minute of our day for us to learn. And instead of using that as something negative, I challenge you to look at what's going on and carefully craft a learning route that's very specific to you. Because just because it's all there doesn't mean you have to go to all the things. What's the one class that's going to change my business where I'm going to find one thing to implement immediately? Clark, what do you recommend agents should do, or what classes to look for value proposition? Because I know that can be like a dirty word. It's like lead gen, right? Like it's a scary word. So when you say, well, what's your value proposition? A brand new agent or entry level agent is not going to know their value proposition nor feel that they bring value yet, but they do.
Yeah, it's something that's available to us all, even if you weren't at Family Reunion or you're waiting for some of those classes, and we could get specific on pieces of value that may have been presented then. And yet the most robust, in-depth course that I've found on developing value proposition is through 36-12-3. There's one session on there about delivering or defining and then delivering your value proposition. You'll look at your VP probably 6 ways the Sunday and revamping it. So that's one of my go-tos to present this idea of thinking through your value proposition well, that feels good with you, that gives you energy, that you have confidence in delivering.
I love that. Thank you so much. Hi, Sydney. Hello.
Hi. How's everybody doing? I miss you already.
I know. I miss you guys. It was awful to not wake up and go see all of our family, like all of our KW family. It was like, who will I run into today? Oh, my family. Yeah. Not KW family. You were on so many panels. You were in so many rooms this week. What did you hear about lead gen? And tell us who you are too as well.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for the invite. It's really cool to be with you guys today. My name's Sydney Seymour. I'm the regional technology trainer for the Carolinas region. So serving North Carolina and South Carolina. And similar to Sarah, I live in a completely different state than my region. I live in Florida. So I traveled 30 minutes for family reunion and came back yesterday. KWU approved instructor, and yeah, had the absolute like pleasure of being on some panels. And I was thinking as I was coming back, and I've been with Keller Williams since 2010. And I keep thinking that I'm going to go to family reunion and I'm going to hear a different message. And that never happens. It's the same message. I think it's very similar to Bold, right? It's the same message. We just hear it at that point, how we need to hear it. So honestly, what I think I'm taking back, not only to my business, but to agents that I coach and consult with, is like, now is the time to double down on having those one-to-one interactions and conversations with your database. Because I really left family reunion feeling as if Keller Williams is playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. I think we're only going to have that for so much longer. Can I say that? I know this is being recorded, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, it is. You're so right. It's a strategy. It's a game.
Yeah, I feel like we're there. And so I think the worst thing that we could do is to kind of rest on our laurels around that. And so like I wrote something down that Jason Abrams said, with more agents in the business and more agents getting into the business, it's so important for you to have that one-to-one connection with your database. And I really think this is the time that if you're not using the quarterly call smart plan and you don't have it set up that you're calling 10 to 20 people a day, whatever you can manage. I think we've been in this market for the last year and a half or 2 years of just honestly trying to handle all the business that's coming to us. And I think we really have to get proactive in having those conversations with our database and using the command app every morning to make those phone calls, tracking the activities so that you're just, when the market that we're in changes, you're so far ahead of that.
So you just queued us up perfectly for our next topic, which is the command app, because that was the buzz. That was the buzz at FR 2022. We all work booth shifts. We were all lucky enough to work with the tech team at KWNE, and all of us worked the booths. If you were there, you stopped by, you took pictures, you saw us, but the buzz was always, how can I use the app? And I had a couple of moments with agents where they were like, what, we can do this? Because they, of course, your MCTT, your RTT, download it, you download it. You don't remember your username and password, so you don't log into it. We hope you get it. At family reunion, they were digging into it. So who wants to take command app first? Or I'll pick you.
Well, I would say just on the front end that the command app it's an amazing tool once you understand what it can do for you. And there's certain things that it allows you to do on the go. So it allows you to take hold of your systems and processes, your lead gen habits that you established in command, right? So there's a lot of setup that you need to has happened in command first. But once you understand how to do that, your life becomes that much easier in the app.
And Sydney, I think you touched on it in our tech session, right? That was what you did. So
yeah, Clark, I totally agree with you that I think what has to happen first is, I think if we can think of, how am I really going to use the command app? So I'm going to use it to call my contacts. I'm going to use it to maybe add them to smart plans on the go. Things have to happen first for the ease of that, meaning I could look through all my contacts through the command app. If I don't have phone numbers for them, I can't call them. If I don't have email addresses for them, I can't email them, right? So I really think, as much as I know we joked about this, like cleaning up a database is probably why everybody got into real estate. I'm sure of it. And yet, if we can take just a little bit of time to do that, to really have all the data that we truly need, I think if you can ask yourself every day one question of, if I were going to sell my database tomorrow, how much would it be worth? And so if you can just take a little bit of time every day to get it to being a true asset, then yeah, the Command app is like, you can run your business off of that once you have it set up.
Your database needs to be a data bank,
Mhm.
right? And right now we have like data B and it's getting the ASE entered, and now we're moving towards data bank. We really need to get our data banks beefier. And I love that the Command app can do this. One of the huge ahas that one of the agents had at the booth was I showed her how you can share the app with your clients from the contact record. And she said to me, well, why wouldn't I do this from the app itself, from the client facing app? And I said, well, does it log an interaction for you that you did that? And she was like, okay. If that's all I took away from family reunion, okay.
That's
I
good.
loved that. I loved that.
That's
Zach,
good.
I mean, Jack or Sarah, what about the Command app for you guys? What were your big ahas?
So,
What I found in talking to, oh, go ahead, Jack.
nope, ladies first. Go ahead.
No, don't fight. Don't fight.
Okay. Oh, well, you know,
Yeah.
Jack and I did have a moment there with
Yes, we're going to talk
our
about
keynote
that moment.
speaker.
We are going to
Okay.
talk about the happiness project.
So what I found is the most amount of questions I got, agents didn't understand that certain things have to be set up ahead of time in the desktop app. So whether it is your smart views, whether it is the smart plans are already there, you can add the smart plans. You can easily scroll through and look at the different smart views, but you don't create those on the phone. The phone is like your accessory piece, right? It's what makes your outfit, right? This makes your business because you've already
It's your
done
flair.
the hard work. It is. It's the sparkle. So you've already set up everything ahead of time, and then you're able to go in and easily manage your business and work your business. And the fact that it automatically says, you know, I'm going through and I go to call Jack through there and he doesn't answer. And as soon as I hang up, it goes, hey, did you want to log that? And I'll be like, yes, no answer. You know, and then maybe I make another task that says call Jack tomorrow.
Absolutely. And then Anthony also mentioned in the chat, love the way ad tags are set up in the mobile app. Absolutely. No pun intended. So just even with some of the tags that you can actually use, you can always create them and manage them inside of your command on your desktop and your laptop. And then when you get to your app, you already have the tag. So if you can clean up your database even on the fly. So, okay, I spend 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, maybe 15 or so. And I still have that same data and information on to my contact. And then speaking of contact, you can also, as we mentioned before, add activity inside of the timeline. You get to see all of that information there. I think that's also powerful, just so that you will get the notifications, you will get the consumer notifications, I meant to say, and add that interaction. And also, this was a favorite. I don't know if Charlie's on the call, one of our MCTTs. He loves the fact that after you make the call or make the interaction, it will prompt you to actually log that interaction. And that's just another added leverage for us in time while we're conducting our business on the go.
And it's so true, because I think sometimes agents feel that when you have, you know, we're supposed to feed our database, right? And sometimes agents always think, well, that's adding new people all the time. But what it actually is making sure you are logging every interaction, the notes you need for that client and contact. Feed it is not just adding new things. It's, do these tags still, are they still relevant to the person I'm sitting in front of, right? If their kids are in college, but you have elementary age kids as a tag, we might want to update those tags, right?
You know what, Brooke, I also love that. I just want to add in, because you talked about adding notes, and you can do this anywhere, any of the timeline features that come up or under notes. When you're on your cell phone, you can then click in the box you're going to make the note. So if you're like me and you're running to 10 different things at once, you have that little microphone button on your phone. So then you could be that one in the car going, saw Brooke in the parking lot and Brooke wants to talk about da, 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 right? And then it goes through and it does a whole dictation for you. So it's that much faster.
And it's hilarious for us New Englanders to see how the dictation picks up on our different accents. Just so you know, I have to edit my notes all the time. It's hysterical. My voice to text is not a fan of me. But that is another great productivity tool. So if you have, if maybe typing out the notes is not your thing, quickly being able to speak those notes to the app, that was a game changer for me, because I use the command app to talk to you guys every day, the team leaders, the MCTTs, right? Everything I do starts in my command app. My other big tip and trick for you is to move that app right to the very front and put it right on top of where your phone icon is, and stop using your phone icon. Every phone call you make in your business should start and end in your command app. When you start to do the habit of using that every day and logging those calls, I don't even put people in my regular phone anymore, because because I interacted with the app, it's going to say this may be Sydney Seymour calling. You don't even have to add people to your phone anymore. It's beautiful. Let's open up to our friends in the audience real quick. What questions or ahas did you have over the command app this week? And I know we're all a little tired, so don't all jump at once. But go ahead and throw it in the chat, and we'll be watching. Or go ahead and raise your digital paw, and we'll bring you off of mute and come up. Because I know a bunch of you watched at home as well, and we thank you for that.
Brooke,
Hi.
I'll just break the silence.
Yay, thank you, Dreamer. See, that coaching silence works. It really does.
He who speaks first loses. No, not really.
Never. Not with this group.
So just let me say first, like this command app, like I'm like, oh God, I missed that totally. So I have to keep myself focused on this call so that I'm not squirreling away trying to figure out about the command app. So I'm just being fully transparent. Just let me say, and this has been my overriding aha this week. Like I've been with KW since 2004. So I've been going to a lot of family reunions. This is by far the most impactful one, even though I wasn't there in person, precisely because I wasn't there in person, and yet I'm seeing the ripple effect of technology bringing like tens of thousands of people into the same space where that was never going to happen pre-COVID, right? That I think is so now, just from that perspective, I am so totally jazzed on learning everything about technology, because from a personal perspective, my husband watched Sean Aker with me in our living room on the big screen. Prior to this, that would never, ever have happened. And that happened at such a crucial time in my family life. So I'm seeing like, okay, I just want as much tech stuff now as I possibly can take from the fire hose. So that's my share.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming off of mute and sharing that with us. And it's bringing me to another point is, this week I felt that everything we do has been humanized. Do you guys agree or disagree with that statement? Agree. I got head nods. When I was at the tech booth, and I picked a lot of shifts on purpose, it was a strategic move, and I wanted to get in front of our agents, and I wanted to talk to as many human beings as possible. One, because I just miss people in person. But people approach the tech booth in ways they never would have before. In the past, in Dallas, I was dragging people by their collars in and forcing them to talk to me. Because tech can be scary. But what I really loved about this year was people are starting to get that the connections are what matter, and you have to use the tools, because we have to have speed to lead, and we have to stay on top of our sphere. So let's talk about your sphere, right? That was the key. They talked in a lot of the breakouts about we wouldn't have to worry about lead aggregators if we all communicated with our databases in a systematic way. What did you guys hear about SOI or Sphere or your database from your ears, from your coaching ears, or from your tech ears?
Yeah, I'll say it again, is as we reach out to our sphere, or we allow in our conversations, or we allowing ourselves to be curious in those conversations and really understand their needs.
Wow.
Yeah. So if we're able to stay curious and just hear what's going on in their life, it may not, their need may have nothing to do with real estate. And of course, we've anchored in our value and we've cared for those people. And it's just possible that it might actually be related to real estate. And we're able to get in front of a lead aggregator to fill a need based on the resources and the connectors we can be as agents. Again, my mind keeps going to that. I'll try to find a link for it, but that image where all these companies are looking to get into the consumer's life on their phone, apps on their phone, or email threads or whatever they have, to help them search, buy, sell, and own their home. And so, yeah, for me, it's having fun and getting curious and just loving on our sphere. But in being curious there, really hearing them and knowing how we can best, because if again we hear that need, then we can be the connector. That's how we get in front of the lead aggregators. If we're really listening, we can solve their mortgage solution for them. We can solve the general handyman solution for them, right?
Yeah. Wow. So what I'm hearing is if you're not calling your sphere, someone else's.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're
And that hurts.
They're calling them, they're texting them, emailing them, they'll get in there.
I've got
I
a
also
hand
heard
raised
on
in
the-
the audience.
The panel that you, Brooke and Sydney, were on, 3 things to do in command right now. What I loved about that one is you had agents who were very successful in the business, one who never paid for any sort of leads at all, right? One that was very highly adopting smart plans. All of them, they're all doing one that was using the golden letter. Okay, so they are, again, interacting, building their sphere, right? Building their business, doing all of these things using command, and at least one of them not paying for a single thing. And it's the constant build your database, feed it every day, systematically communicate with it.
That was huge. When she said that, when we pre-interviewed, my mind was blown. Kelly in the audience, do you have a question or a aha? Where'd you go? I saw it up. Now it's gone.
No, I'm
Oh,
still
there you
here.
are.
So I'm still here. So along the lines of what Clark was saying in regards to, we're not the only ones communicating with our database, that kind of hit me huge, because I'm like, wait a minute, and not to brag on myself, but I'm like, you know what? I'm the best person to serve them. So I need to be the person that's in front of them. And I didn't feel that way always until looking at the tech and really embracing it. And I'm like, oh no, they can't go with anybody else but me. That was what I got from it. So just saying.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Kelly, we owe it to them. That's good.
Yeah, Clark, I'm going to agree with you again. And I think somebody, they always say like, your customers aren't necessarily loyal to you. They're loyal to your standards and to like the customer experience that you give them. Like I think about wherever I bought my last car, and even if the person that helped me there was incredible, I don't know that I would seek that person out to buy my next car, or I would just go back to the dealership unless that person had stayed in front of me, right? If they left or something happened, I wouldn't have awareness around that. So somebody said, you have to be the expert of everything that revolves around living in a house. And so, I mean, my mind goes to, if you have someone that moves into your local market, we always just talk so much about vendors for a home, but I think about when you move into your house, the first night in that house, what's the first thing that you want? For me, it's pizza. So I'm not cooking in my new house, right? So have I gone to local businesses and said, I'm a local real estate agent and I have, I represented 50 buyers last year that moved into this local market, and I'd love to give them a free pizza the first night in their new home. Is that something that you'd like to do with me? The same thing with, I think of all these local businesses that you could really use to build that up. And again, to make sure that nobody is getting in between you and your database, not just because you're telling them, here's the new home on the market, but because you're truly telling them everything about the local community.
And I love that. So I'm going to age myself by the next phrase I'm going to use, or maybe it's only in New England, but who remembers welcome wagons in town? Is there anybody? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, my mom was part of the welcome wagon committee. People would show up at your house, like 10 women from town with a basket full of goodies, your library card, who to contact at the town hall, magnets for, I mean, this thing was a basket of all the a casserole. You are so right. And my mom's like, don't eat that.
You're not
Yes,
dating
a
yourself.
casserole, always.
Always a casserole. So at that
Of course, you're
point,
not dating yourself though. When I moved to Massachusetts a little over 8 years ago, the welcome wagon lady came to the door, and of course, no one had knocked on my door yet. And I'm like, there's a lady with a bag with a lot of pamphlets outside. Do I want to open the door?
yeah, Marty has 66 questions about welcome wagons, but we'll get to those on a different call, guys. Marty, what we were talking about was getting in front of our sphere.
Like casseroles, I thought we were talking real estate. Now we're having like penne
Bunch.
pasta.
Well, remember,
What just happened?
I mean, I can derail a good conversation with a food talk
Absolutely.
anytime, right? Especially with my appetizer recipes. But back to the welcome home. If you've been through our pipeline class, what are you doing for your buyers that's going to make them talk about the home buying experience with you? Why are we, and this is no slight on our preferred partners, why is every agent in our market center fighting for the attention of the lenders when we should be going out into our community and making hyper local relationships and getting those to feed your pipeline in a different way? We all know someone who does eyebrows, the best barbers, stylists. And guess what, guys? They're in your sphere. Challenge you to start using the job title or where they work as a way to start building your lists a little different, because everybody in your world does something or did something. Right?
So, Brooke, I want to touch upon that. I've kind of joined up with a few lenders, and believe it or not, some of my buyers were like upside down. And so I got them refinanced, and it's like a big plug. I'll tell you, it really is.
Right.
And my lenders loved it. They're like, wow, double wham, so they were happy with that as well.
So let's talk about the happiness project, unless you've got something you want to add about Sphere. Sydney's got to leave us, guys. Give her a wave and a thank you. And Marty's going to jump in. Thank you so much, Sydney. We appreciate you. All right, Marty, Sphere, you got 66 seconds to talk about it, and then we're going to break off to the next thing.
I think just piggybacking on what you just said, it's sort of sphere related. And for everyone, I talked to a young lady who was really big into relocation, and I asked her straight up, I was like, what exactly does that mean? She's ex-military. Her husband is current military. And she said, when you're military, you move to a new town at best every 4 years, at worst, much more often. And when you come into a new town, you really don't know anything. You literally don't know where the library is. You don't know where the best dry cleaning is. We're in nice restaurants. Where should I go if my dog eats a chicken bone? Where's the 24-hour animal emergency vet in this town? Because those are the things really freaks out. What if my 2-year-old's running a 104 fever? Where's the best emergency clinic to take her? And so she literally had created, so speaking of welcome wagon, I guess it's a little more helpful than a casserole. And yet she had that sort of package available. And all of those vendors had been sort of personally vetted because she had been in that town. She had been new to that town as well. And so kind of knew what that was like. So I would say if you were, looking to get into that sort of business, think about it. If you were to move to a town across the globe from where you are today, right across the nation from where you are today, what would be the top 10 things that you would need to know where they were? Right? Yeah. When you're moving to Boston, Boston, I can't even say it, right?
We're going to make you smarter. It's because I'm from Boston. We're going to make you smarter up here.
We don't roll our R's in Texas. We roll them for a completely different reason. But basically, right? What do you need to know when you move to a brand new town? And are you providing that to your clients?
It's so hyper local. So when we say hyper local, sometimes our agents just don't know what we're talking about. We want to make it so that if anybody thinks about plumbing, a new roof, roofers up here, a plumber, right? All those things you need, contractors. I've got a squeaky door. I've got a squeaky floor. What are the things, my sprinkler system's not going up. Who's going to clean the pool? They think about you. You want to make it so that you are the expert in all things in your community. All things in your community. So let's talk about the happiness project, because this is the thing that everyone is talking about who attended either virtually or in person. And my heart is 20 times bigger because of this keynote speech that we went to. And if you didn't see it, if the recording's not up, it will be up. So you will be able to replay it. Sarah, I want you and Jack to tell your story about the Happiness Project. If you just, so if our guests didn't see it, they get a little bit of more info about this wonderful exercise they had us do.
Doug, do you want to start?
So they had an exercise for us where we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, but we had to designate who was number one, number two, and then number one had an instruction, number two had an instruction, and we just had to turn and face towards each other and actually gaze into each other's eyes and actually, in essence, kind of sync up in wavelength. And then he gave us some of those instructions to say, try your best to be as stoic as possible, or just kind of have no emotion at all. And it's like, I know these people. It's hard for me not to like smile and it's just so hard. And it was funny because in that moment when we did it, Sarah and I, we were sitting next to each other. So everybody partner up to the neighbor next to him. So then that's when we had to switch. Okay, so now it's Tu's turn to do this. And in that moment, it was kind of like, I don't know whether or not it was a psychological like a choice in the back of my mind to say, you're going to be happy for like the next half hour, then get food so you don't get hungry. Yes. But it was like in that moment, it was actually magical. So then we had an actual working session where we had to use, supplies like materials or sticky notes or a pen and paper and pad. And Sarah and I got the same color without even knowing. Like
we were totally synced.
Yeah.
And it was
that's
great watching it. It was funny seeing it because there were some people that there's no stoic face. There was no stone face. They could not do it. So the amount of laughter that rang through this convention center during this exercise was hysterical. Tori, where are you? You did this at the Market Center?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So me and Shammai, which everyone was teasing us the whole time that we're like in like, I don't know, whatever a bromance is for girls. I don't know. So we thought that like everybody was going to pair up. So we just like grabbed arms. And then when you guys started doing it at the convention center, everyone's like, okay, you two get up like in front of everyone. And we're like, oh, okay. And it was absolutely hilarious. When it was her turn, she was doing the most painful looking smile ever, like whipping her hair around, and she was mouthing, I love you. And I'm like, I feel like that's cheating. That wasn't like part of it. And it was just so funny because like half the room could only see one of our faces, and then the other half could only see the other one. But it was hilarious. And you couldn't not be happy for the rest of the day. I'm still happy.
And so that's how you felt, right? That's how you felt.
Yeah.
And it was funny. So what the other funny thing that trickle effect from all this was that when people are in the hallways or out at their market center meetups or different restaurants or the hotels the rest of the night, they would lock eyes with their partner. And everybody had these big cheesy smiles on their faces.
Hey,
That's
Jack
amazing.
and I kept meeting up and just saying, I need a moment. Hold on.
Right? And then you pour all your energy and smile into it. And I did drop the link. It's called the Happiness Advantage. I keep calling it the Happiness Project. It's the Happiness Advantage. And I popped the link in, and I'll make sure it's up on my book list, on my bookshelf, and I'll make sure you guys have it on all the pages. It was just such a feeling. And that was the other big, if you've watched any of the KWRI videos, they had videos from every day 1, day 2, and 3. Everybody's word was community. Like there was no flashy bangs, right? This was not a family reunion about flashbangs in the crowd. This was about solidifying our relationships and getting back to our roots of everything. So vision and state of the company. What did you guys think of some of those slides and some of the things, what stuck with you? What did Gary say that just blew your mind.
Buy dirt.
Buy dirt.
I wish I had
Right?
that shirt.
I know, it's sold out. People left and went to the Red Label store and bought all the shirts.
Well, he sat there with his jacket on, so you just saw that there was something, and all of a sudden he goes, he's like, you need to buy dirt. And then he goes,
Yeah. It was,
Wait, was it in the store? I went looking for it like right away.
it will be there. If it's not there, just give them a few. It should be up. All the t-shirts are always available. And the MREA one I have on sold out. And if you weren't here in the beginning, yes, the MREA is still blanking relevant. This is where's the other sleeve? I can wear it because it says Keller on it. Like it was in their store, so I won't get in trouble. Because when I rolled up to a regional event, they looked at me and I was like, I'm not going to get in trouble for this one. Pick something else. They do need to get big sizes, I know, and I did pass on that feedback, George, big time. So what were other ahas from the vision speech? Let's throw it out to the audience and see what they had to say, or put it in the chat. I'm always just blown away anytime I get to see Gary speak. He's so darn calm. Like that's what I get from him. Like I get his confidence and calm, and I will never be a calm person, but thank you for a little bit. Like Zen. That is the perfect way to describe him, as Zen. He really is, Jean Marie. Anybody else? Tori, you came off of mute. Did you have an aha from the vision?
I could listen to him talk all day, and I feel like he always is 10 steps ahead of everyone else in this market. Like he knows what's happening. And yeah, so anytime I can hear him speak is amazing.
Where are my slides from it? The slides should be up soon. I know the link is dead. It's taking you to somewhere weird in the app, but as soon as I see those slides go live in the recording, I will get it to you guys.
Brooke, I thought it was interesting. I think he said something along the lines of, are we in a bubble, or are we having a bubble? And he was like, you guys have barely begun to blow yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like we haven't even started with the bubble. And so I think a lot of people, especially buyers agents or those working with buyers, are like, it's got to get easier. It's got to get easier. Eventually we won't be writing, 17 offers on 22 houses. I don't know that happens in 2022, right? So
right.
The strategy is now, okay, so we know we're going to have to write this many offers, or we certainly need to make sure that we are absolutely qualifying our buyers so far ahead of, what is your price point? What's the max you're going to go? Okay, we're going to show you 25, 50K below that. Well, no, I can qualify for a 300K home. I get it. But we're going to show you 275K homes because you're going to have to pay 300K for a 275K home. No, Marty, I want to be in a 300K home. Well, great. Then show me $25,000 that you can come up with between now and then, and I'll show you 300K homes. You know what I mean? It's just really having that. Maybe it was during the CEO mastermind where they said, these are the list of things that you must be willing to do in order to get a house in this market. Are you willing to do all the following things? And if you're not, great. You know what I mean? Like, no disrespect, but I'm going to let you go waste someone else's time.
Right. And he really dug into inflation. They had a couple great slides on inflation where housing prices have gone up 60%, but wages have dropped 15%.
Well, and the cost of the loan, right? With interest rates being so low, it's the pricing, the housing prices continue to go up, but the percentage of your paycheck that you're paying for it has remained pretty stagnant. And it's because rates have been so low this past year that people can still afford it. So there's no, buyers are still there. The demand is still there.
Yep. And what he did point out about interest rates is we're still lower than the averages we had when things started to rise, right? We're still at a lowest.
I always love that slide. Can you imagine coming into a market where the interest rate was 17%?
Right?
Just like, it just blows my mind, and he's like, and we still sold homes, like that's the part we all got to get around. Like they dealt with 17% interest rates and he still sold however many homes he sold his first year, right? Like, yeah.
And one of the other great things about the affordability for us as agents was my mind was blown by the KW perks, which is the healthcare and different insurance benefits for our agents. So it's kwperks.com. If you do not have healthcare coverage, that is not an expense that should be added to your plate, right? Go fill out the estimate. Just even if you already have benefits, get your info out there and compare it. That one, I was like, that is the one thing my agents need that. They leave corporate jobs or roles where it was covered, right? And they paid, it might have been, still a hefty part of their paycheck gone to have health benefits. And you can kind of, Sarah, you poked around KW Perks, right?
You don't have to even pick the whole package. What if you don't have dental care or eye care? What if you just want the hospital, I'm going to say it wrong, indemnity package?
It's indemnity.
Whichever one you want. Okay, I always think I'm going to say it wrong. Whichever thing you want, just look at what's available to you, because you might have a base plan with whatever you've got, or if your spouse or partner has, and maybe you just need additional. It's definitely worth a look.
Absolutely. And health insurance and coverage is always going to be expensive, but not having it can very quickly change your world, right? And that's what some of the KW Cares things we saw this weekend. So let's wrap up with Mo Anderson and the inspiration morning. And I'm going to get choked up on some of these things because they hit home really hard for someone Sarah and I lost this year. And if you have not seen the links, I will make sure to get those out to you, but they are in everything. They had a lot of our KW people up there, and the work they're doing is amazing. And today I'm also going to share with you a KW Cares one sheet that your market center should be adding to every single onboarding package. Because people don't really understand the impact that we have on the daily lives of everyone. And there's something wrong with you if you go to Inspiration Morning and you don't even have just welling. Maybe it's dry vents in there and it's bothering your eyes, but there's never, we were lucky enough to have reserved seating next to the executives at KW. At one point I looked over and Carl Liebert was sobbing. He was sobbing. What did you guys, what really hit your hearts on our Inspiration Morning?
I would definitely say one of the biggest things is just how passionate they were to help all those families, especially for the team out in Salt Lake. That was pretty that pretty hit home, especially with how the kids are just so young, from even toddler all the way up to teenager, and just really needing just one of God's children to just help out and really just be there for not only that family, but just for the business. I just love every time I look left and right, I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to cry, just letting you know. And don't take it personal. It's just that this is just what we're all about, and what matters, and just what's in our belief system, and anything we're willing to do to help, and anything to do to advance ourselves and our communities, because no one is more important than the other. So we're all a family, and I always love Inspirational Morning, and yeah, and the choir sounded great as well too.
Yeah, bring a tissue box, not one of those little packs of things, little travel packs. You will go through it in a hot second. Who else? Who wants to share what they love so much from Inspiration Morning?
I always love how they start off with the different prayers and hymns from different religions, because to me that just sets the tone on how we might all be different, but we're all the same. And to me, that again brings community, and it just is really special to me. I'm going to purposely skip over the Uganda one just because I don't want to cry right now. But the even Mr. Rosen, the head of Rosen Hotels, and his son passed away from brain cancer, and it went all into what he does, not only with the research but also with scholarship programs. And they brought out a young woman who received one of his scholarships, and I don't think it was for starting in the preschool ones, but up until college. And she is a speech and language pathologist, and she teaches in that one school that she would have gone to, or that whatever. But it was so just
endearing. It was,
and you think of all of the people's lives who are changed, even just from, here's this man who had a very unfortunate experience, but he runs all these hotels, and he has all of this incredible, life and business and wealth, and he's giving back, and just these little things like, here's this woman, and that guy was up there and he was just he did not look like he was going to be able to not cry at a second.
No. They kept
And
jacking his mic up. He was losing his voice trying to even speak about it. Guys who cry, you just kill me. You break my heart. I'm a sucker for it. Like, stop.
Speaking of guys who cry, like how powerful was Eli meeting with Gary and talking about KW military? Like,
Yeah.
you talk about some of the toughest individuals in our planet that serve in the military and go to places like Afghanistan and get their Humvee blown up by an IED. Like, it just kind of moved me to know that Eli is there not because that was a financial opportunity. He didn't come to KW because it's the best fit. He came to KW, I'm sure he's getting paid to do something. And yet he came because he wants to help people like him that are, getting out of the military, looking for something else. My twin brother's a colonel in the Air Force right now. He's at that point, 20 years, right? So he can retire as a full bird colonel and get all the perks, where he can get 4 more years, but the pension goes up dramatically. And he's like, the only reason I'm looking at the 4 more years is like, Marty, I don't know what I would do. It's like, I honestly have no idea. This is all I've ever done. He went straight out of college into the military. He's like, I just don't have any idea. And he's like, there's so many people like me, they want to get out, but they just don't know what they would do. You know what I mean? And I think Eli is one of those people that can help military that can find their way in real estate and be very successful. And he's doing it for that exact reason, right? To help people that were in similar situations that he was. So I'm
And what
super
was his
excited for
goal?
KW military. What's
He
that?
he has a really lofty goal. Didn't he
I
say it was a goal of
didn't
30,000?
write that down. I mean, it was a very lofty goal with the number of agents that would get in to KW military. And I have no doubt that he's going to hit it. I talked Wendy Harrelson, if you know her, freaking Wendy. We're on the bus to the Mastery CEO, and she sits down next to me, right? So she is my divisional leader, my RD, and Eli sits down behind me. I don't know who he is, right? And she's like, hey, Marty, this is Eli. You're going to want to get to know him. He's joining our region here in a little bit. And I was like, cool, that's awesome. That's exciting. Tell me a little bit more about your business. And he tells me just a little bit. And I'm like, cool, well, I look forward to connecting with you done. And then the next morning he's on stage with Gary. And I was like, that's the guy. Why didn't you tell me this is who this, you know what I mean? But he was very like, I'm just a dude, you know what I mean? With the real estate business. No idea that he was the #1 agent Remax. Very like calm and non-assuming, and like, yeah, it's going to be big for KW and KW military. Tori, go ahead.
Hopefully my kids will not scream in the background. That video is going to be available to show. Is that true? Because I want to get that on our team meeting next month. And I knew the second he walked on stage and like opened his mouth and started talking, I was like bawling in our training room. Everyone was bringing me tissues. It's just, I have a soft spot for veterans to begin with. And oh my gosh, it was so impactful.
This is just one more way KW is really helping us tap into the segments that mean the most to us, because we all have big stories. We all have big whys around these things. So guys, we got 5 minutes left. We all come back from FR and we are amped. We're emotionally drained, but we have so many ideas in our head about what we can do to make our businesses smarter. So let's leave our agents of New England with how can they take the excitement and the feelings from that week and keep it in their business all year long? What's one thing they can do today?
My recommendation would be, if you're in a great spot that you previously had a business plan or a GPS, then revisit that and see how you can enhance it. Make sure you're still on track with your plan and enhance it with whatever you learned from family reunion. If not, then maybe you have spurred a renewed energy to have a GPS that might be inspired to focus on some priorities to hit your goal for the year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Jack, go ahead.
Yep, I would say just really get intentional moving from E to P, and then getting to that database to data bank. Really stay with that database, and just that new added feature within our command app where you can just add the contacts and add the interactions on the go. It's like, think about it, reminds me of that slide where we saw, hey, that supercomputer that you have in your hand now would have cost you so much back in the day. And now we have it in the palm of our hand where we can do it in less than 3 minutes. That's powerful.
Smarty Miller.
Jack literally ripped off everything I was going to say. It's because he's brilliant. Yeah, I think, looking back, I think we all have dirty databases and we need to clean them up, right? And I don't care how many hours you've spent working on your database, I can almost guarantee you that you don't have 100% health score, right? I don't think anyone does. If they do, they have like 2 contacts. So we need to work on that too, right?
And it's you and your spouse.
Yeah, it's me and my dog. Yeah. So getting in, and I mean, obviously I taught on it. It blows my mind that Smart Plans is the least adopted between contacts, opportunities, and Smart Plans. Guys, the monthly neighborhood nurture, assuming that it works in New England, right? Which is always a dangerous assumption.
Some parts.
Yeah, but assuming that you have next door data, it is the most powerful thing, in my opinion, that we have inside of Command that you can automate, right? Outside of you making the touches, Smart Plans, monthly neighborhood nurture, every single contact in your database should have an address. And if you don't have an address, figure out a neighborhood that's important to that person and put them on that one, right? Just figure it out.
I like to put people on Paris, France. I like to put people in weird spots to see if they respond.
Wow. If someone calls you and says, "Why are you sending me homes in Katy, Texas?" It's still someone calling you.
It's the Doris effect. We've talked about it before, right? People love to correct you when you're wrong. They love to correct you when you're wrong. 100%. Sarah, take us home.
So for me, and again, kind of jumping off of, because Jack and Marty sort of stole what I was going to say. So I love cleanup tags. I've always talked about cleanup tags. I have one that needs phone, needs email, and needs address, right? So I can easily create smart views, look at who I need to clean up, do it on the fly. But what if you were to take Marty's 66-day challenge thing and you look at that, and he's broken them into very short videos, right? But take that same mentality of, how can I've got this database. I mean, I have over 10,000 people in mind. So that's insane, right? I know. So what if I were to take that, and what if I were to say, okay, I'm going to spend 15 minutes every single day on this, because this is my number one thing. If my number one thing is to clean up the database, then my number one thing is going to be every single day I'm spending 15 minutes on just that.
Yep.
If my number one thing,
3 people, get them to 80%.
That's right. And then my next number one thing might be, when I'm done with that, I want to take what I do in my real life and leverage it. So I might take a certain smart plan or create my own or do whatever that is. And then I'm going to make sure my 15 minutes a day are who's on it, who needs to be on it, what's going to be next, and so on. Break it into the small.
Sad you lost your Mass accent and you don't say smart plans like I do. So we're going to talk about that after this call, okay? I will share my list of tags with you guys as well. If you guys go to mybrookthenerd.com, go to the resource room and Ignite, scroll all the way to the bottom, and my tag list and my healthy contact cheat sheet is there. Huge round of applause for all of my RTT guests, my RTT family that joined us today. We appreciate you so much, everybody. We'll talk soon. Love you all. Can't wait to hear your ahas. Have a great afternoon. Bye, guys.
I miss you.
Thank you. Thank you. Get smarter. Get smarter. Jean Marie, it's on my website. So if you go to my resource room on brookthenerd.com, Ignite, and scroll all the way to the bottom, there's also a ton of other really fun resources on there.
Super. Thank you.
Have a great day.